which nobody believes, of course, but yes, it's true that in the 18th century there was the British Israelites and a variety of groups who claimed that the Jews in captivity had built the pyramid. But this is. You don't think that's true? Yeah. No, of course I don't think it's true. But yeah. What is strange? Well, historically, it can't be. I mean, it's not that I want to offend anybody, but it's historically not possible. If the story of the Jews in captivity in Egypt is true, and that's a big if, it certainly did not happen in the Pyramid Age. It happened certainly 4 or 5 centuries later, at the very least. But anyway, I don't want to get into that.
Sure.
What stunned everybody was the fact that they went really paranoid over this. I mean, the Minister of Culture and Dr. Hawass started headline papers saying they want to steal our culture, they want to steal the pyramid, they've stolen Palestine, and now it was just way overboard. And I don't understand this. I can understand it up to a point, because Hawass does come from that generation where they were extremely touchy about nationalism. I mean, he grew up in the early 50s and 1960s after the Egyptian revolution, and I was there at the time too. I was living in Egypt, so I understand. It was very, it's a bit like North Korea, It was. They were very touchy about their national identity and so forth. But he seems to have retained this, and so a lot of people don't quite understand why he says certain things. But he does have issues that he thinks are very important, whereas in fact they're not important to the rest of the world. I mean, nobody would get shocked if there is European origins in the 18th dynasty. I mean,
that's right. Yeah, it's very. Do you think that this goes back to the? I mean, was this during the period of when the 6-Day War was going as well between Egypt and Israel and some of the neighboring states?
It was. Hawass was born in 47. I was born in 48, and this was 4 or 5 years before the Egyptian Revolution, the 1952 revolution, where they toppled King Farouk and the Gamal Abdel Nasser and the young officers took power. But they turned the country immediately into a socialist movement. They nationalized everything. They threw out the colonial Europeans. The usual thing that happened in many other countries.
Yeah.
But there was an intense fervor being built by propaganda in schools and so forth to rebuild Arab, Egyptian prestige. Now, in many ways, it was fine because they had been colonized for many years. The British had been there as a protectorate for many years, and it's understandable. But it went a bit overboard, and some officials took it to extremes. Now, Gamal Abdel Nasser at the time was very, very pro. Or shall I say anti-colonial.
Sure.
He supported many of the anti-colonial movements in the Congo and so forth. I mean, I happen to know this personally because we are Belgians. My family comes from a Belgian origin. And when Patrice Lumumba was assassinated in 61, the Egyptian government sided with the movement and threw us out of the country. So there was a lot of this stuff going on. Having said this, there is also an extremely touchy issue related to, of course, to Israel. Even though there is a peace treaty, there is a kind of paranoia that had set in. It's much less now, but some people still retain it.
Yeah.
And the issue about European running or using Egypt as a puppet state. Now it's true that it happened. It did happen in the 19th century. King Farouk himself became a puppet of the British. But they're very touchy about this. And Hawass has made a campaign over the years. He made it his personal quest to have retrieved certain artifacts like the Rosetta Stone, but he took it, as if there was a colonial war going on. I mean, he started. So I think
to him, it's like it's a personal war. He wants to restore the golden age of the Egyptian people in a way.
He wants to defend Egyptian prestige, Egyptian culture, Egyptian sovereignty, especially when it comes to antiquities.
Yeah.
Now, I can understand up to a point, but we live in a very different world now. This is the 21st century, and all these kind of racial antipathies have gone. And he is just not seeing it that way. He's very, very touchy. I mean, he's accused me many, many times of trying to steal Egyptian culture, and because, for example, when Graham Hancock and I put forward the theories with John West and Robert Schoch, there was a movement to show that Egyptian civilization was much older, that the Sphinx would have been a much older monument. He took it to heart. I mean, he accused us of trying to steal the Egyptian origins. It all sounds very strange, and we got more into this kind of nonsense than dealing with the real archaeology here. I mean,
yes,
if it's true that King Tutankhamun or some other kings of Egypt may have had different origins. Well, it's true. That's it. I mean, it doesn't hurt anybody.
Exactly. It is what it is. And what you're saying as well, I guess, is that we don't know the period really, how things were developed in that sense at that time. I mean, we're talking about communication between nations, and it might have been an influx of other people from other parts of the world back then, as you described, has happened in the more modern world in that sense. So we might be looking at various different dynasties that came from different parts of the world, right?
Absolutely. Well, let me give some breaking news here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been very much involved, as you know, with the study of the prehistoric origins of the Egyptians, and I'm publishing a book very soon called Black Genesis with my colleague Tom Brophy. And the truth is that we all, you, me, everybody in Scandinavia, everybody in Australia, everybody in Canada, everybody around the world have their origins in Black Africa.
Okay.
It's a fact. We have all the evidence that we need. I mean, I'm not speaking of me and my colleague. I mean, this comes from various authorities, genetic academics, scientists. It's well established now. I mean, no historians will deny this. So we're all, I've used the phrase the other day, we're black turned white. That's what we are. Mm. It's the truth. And, we all have to see this as a truth, and some people may not want to accept it, but these are truths. And I think it's a very good idea to look very, very carefully into all this, because this awareness now that we all have the same roots, the same kickoff origins, and that our racial features, especially our color, is nothing more than some chemical in our skin. All this is very, very good for this 21st century to come and realize these hard realities, which the world has suffered. The world has suffered from these misconceptions that there are, in fact, different races, different colors, different people, different creeds. All this is slowly fading, because we can track down not only our origins, but we realize that, in fact, what we thought was history, which we looked down to 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, is much, much older. So history is becoming a much broader view of the human adventure, And to me, this is fine. So having said this, when I look at Tutankhamun on the 18th dynasty, this is very recent for me.